He's coached hundreds of different men, helping them achieve higher levels of success in their personal, professional, and business life. I think we've seen the preview. I think we're all excited to see what this man has to offer. I'm really, truly honored to have you be a part of the team, to have you come here out and speak and be a part of this whole community. So with that, if we can give him a round of applause and welcome Mike to the stage.
Notice where your mind is in this moment. Is it in the past? Is it in the future? Is it in the now? Take a deep breath in and exhale. And think of a challenge that you're going through. The fear, the doubt, the pain. Nobody knows what it's like to be you. But I ask you to consider that what you're going through is not happening to you. It is happening for you. There are no coincidences, and this is not a random incident. It truly does matter what you're going through. But you can either define this experience or let the experience define you. People talk about possibilities. They say anything is possible, as if they're all place and all space and all time. And if that's true, then where are possibilities not? Only in your mind. It's all about your perspective. So whatever you're going through, embrace and fully engage this process. Because without a doubt, you have a hand in how this whole thing turns out. In life, open your eyes. There's the challenge, there's your response, and there's the outcome. And you cannot control the challenge. It isn't always certain. Life determines what's behind those curtains. But your response, men, that's up to you. You must learn to love the challenge and not say, why me, or poor me, or how come? Shift your physiology, stand up tall, smile, and remember that your response will determine the outcome. So embrace your past and everything that you've been through and everything that's led you to, everything who is the man who is you. But remember, who you become next is who you choose. And most of us are afraid of this. Don't be afraid of your greatness. You ever hear someone say, it is what it is, and then they throw up their arms and then they quit? Bullshit. It's not what it is. It's what you make it out to be. So what are you choosing to see? Stop blaming you or being ashamed of you. You were chosen to go through everything that you've been through, to see what you've needed to see in order to become the man who you were meant to be. Why not you? And why are you sometimes making justifications for failing, or failing not to try, or try again? You are chosen to win. There is no lose. It's win or learn. And get back up and fight again. And happiness, success, love, gentlemen, that's what we all seek. But these things can only come from having internal peace and living with passion and purpose. And you can have them as long as you think on purpose and live above the challenge. And that means speaking up when it's easiest to be silent, but being quiet. when making sense of all that noise inside us. Those overwhelming thoughts that try to convince us. They say we can never be as successful as the people in front of us or the ones we see on social media. And we just wish we can beat this addiction to porn and drugs long enough to realize the things we're doing about this pain isn't healing the dis-ease we keep bottled up inside of us. Show of hands. How many of us have tried to find forgiveness at the bottom of a bottle? Or answers to life's questions in the top drawer of a one-night stand? Who here doesn't have blood on their hands and rocks in their shoes? You've been betrayed. You've felt pain and sorrow and shame. You've seen hell. And believe me, I have too. But challenge plus response equals outcome. And that formula, man, that formula is simple. But simple's not always easy. The hardest part of being an artist is deciding what to do with the blank canvas. That's the world in front of you. But the ability to create is innate to each of you. And you were born with the capacity to paint a masterpiece. You are the master of your piece. Don't give away your power. Nice guy, none of that. Don't give away your piece. Not to the past, not to the future, not to people, not to situations, not to occurrences. And in each incident, claim ownership of your thoughts and your actions. Think on purpose. And pride, who here is fighting with a family member? Don't let being right prevent you from being effective. Adapt. And let go of all that guilt and all that blame and shame and, man, stop being defensive. What time is it? Now. Be present. Be curious. Be the master of your choice. Think on purpose. And hope, I'm all about hope. It is great. But it's not a great strategy. Don't just hope for your dreams to come true. Be true to your dreams. This is the beginning of the next chapter of your life. Don't leave your success to chance. Make it a consistent choice, because as long as you're willing and there's breath in your lungs, anything is possible when you develop your response. So breathe deep. Whatever's blocking that flow, release. Inhale deep and slow. And whatever burden that you've been carrying, let that shit go. Breathe deep. And gather your fears, your doubts, your judgments, your pain, and your shame, and hold it. Because you've been holding that shit for a while. Hold it for another minute. Inhale deeper. Now let it go. Remember, it's not who you are that holds you back. It's not who you are that holds you back. You just forgot. It's who you think you are not. It's not who you are that holds you back. You just forgot. It's who you think you are not. So let go of who you thought you were. Discover who you're meant to be. Everyone stand up. Shake it out. Start smiling. Hands in the air. And breathe. Thank you. You guys ready for this? Have a seat, guys. So, yeah, that's me. I'm Mike Rosenfeld. And I first want to say I'm not here by accident. I'm here on purpose. I'm here on purpose. It's almost a full circle to me. I began coaching probably when I was 14 years old. I wasn't certified at that point, but I thought I was dying at that point. And I was locked up in a program for juvenile offenders. And the way for me to prove to myself that I deserve to live was to take the gold out of my mouth and to stop doing everything that was giving me a sense of instant gratification. I'll get into the story in a moment. But I committed myself back then to be present, to be curious, to listen, to know that each of us are going through our challenges. And if you're in this room, it's because you're a chosen one. It's because you're a chosen one. Never in a million years would I think I would be doing what I'm doing today. I mean, if you see, this is one of my heavyweight fighters. He's 6-0 right now. This is Andre Ward, pound for pound best fighter in the world. This is me on Lifetime TV, Rashad Evans, champion. This is Kamar Aiken, professional football player. This is Novak Djokovic. This is me speaking at the NFL Combine a few months ago. Never thought I would be doing that. Never. Who here can relate to this? To feeling that there's a gun pointed at your head. To feeling hopeless. To feeling unworthy. To feeling unimportant. To feeling like you just maybe don't have what it takes. Like you've tried, but you maybe just don't have it. Who here thinks that maybe they're too young? They can learn this stuff later. Or maybe they're too old. I understand that. I know you guys are looking at the picture. That's me. And I know you're thinking, what happened to the hair? I'm thinking the same fucking thing. This is as far back as I can remember. I do a lot of work to try to understand. But I remember being 4. And I remember standing in my parents' door, crying hysterically, knocking, asking them to open the door. But they didn't. They didn't. And it's the feeling I have right now. I stood there begging them to open the door. My head was hurting so bad. They didn't open it. And there was this feeling that came into me. It was the first time I remember feeling it. It told me I'm not important. I'm not important. Why aren't my parents opening the door for me? The seed was planted that day. It was planted that day. What I learned later, by the way, is the reason my parents didn't open the door. I have great parents. Every time it was time to go to bed or they were leaving the house, I would cry because I had a headache. They were 20 at this time. They didn't know what to do. They asked my doctor what they should do, and he gave them the worst advice ever. Don't answer. He'll go away if he's faking. Well, I went away, but not because I was faking, but because I believed that they really didn't think I was important. Anybody relate to that? Somehow, some way, feeling unimportant? Well, this is where it got me. Age 13, initiated into the Latin Disciples, Folk Nation. I was put into a program for juvenile offenders, and I was lucky to get sent to a military school after that. He's my very best friend in the world, my teacher. He's dead now. These are my friends. This was me when I was a male stripper. and then thinking I was a pimp. I developed this belief that I'm not important. And you know what happens when you develop a belief? It grows within you. And it grows and it grows and it grows. And it becomes the lenses through which you see the world. I'm not going to lie. I stand up here in front of you now in the back of my mind saying, I wonder if they're thinking I'm important. It hasn't gone away from me. So I'm not going to try to teach to make it go away. I'm just going to teach you how to use it. And I would be talking to my friends and I would give them everything that I had and they wouldn't listen. Why? Because I'm not important. And then I'd start showing off, like really, really showing off. And nobody would listen. In fact, that turned them off. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm giving the best of me. I'm like showing off like I'm giving everything and they're not listening. I must really not be important. That's where it led to. This is a true picture. That's me high as hell on GHB and cocaine. I did for 10 years. Andrew was talking about don't waste your life, let the next 10 years go by. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. So I was sent to this boarding school program for juvenile offenders when I was 15. And when I was 14. And when I was there, by that time I had already slept with over 100 girls. I was a cute kid. I knew how to talk. And here I am incarcerated, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go crazy if I don't get laid. So I actually broke out of the program. I went AWOL. And I went to downtown Philadelphia. And my plan was, 14-year-old kid, I could meet a girl, hang out with her in the mall bathroom or something, get my fix, go home. I'd done that before in Miami. It's not that hard. So I met a girl, and I'm hanging out with her in the bathroom. And we're kissing, we're making out, and all of a sudden security comes. It freaks her out. You know, she left. I don't blame her. So I'm walking back to the subway. I'm so mad now and feeling like almost had it, even more frustrated. This guy comes up to me and he's like, yo, you want some weed? I'm like, nah, man, I want to get laid. He's like, I got you. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. Anybody from Philly? He takes me to, I was at the Galleria Mall. He takes me to North Philly, which is right down the street. It's the ghetto. He brings me to this house, and I'm telling you, this girl comes in, and she's 15 years old, gorgeous. He was like, $5, she's yours. $5. Now, this is 1990. Gave him $5. I went to put the condom on, and it broke. Had sex with her 3 times. Came in her every time. Went back to my military school. Started telling him, his name's Johnny Parker. Started telling him what I did. I was bragging, like, I just got laid for $5. She was hot, and this and that, right? And he looks at me. He's from Miami. Anybody here from South Florida? Mm-mm. Yeah? What part?
West Palm Beach.
West Palm. Okay, so he's from Overtown. Overtown, Miami. That's where I grew up, too. Overtown, Miami is one of the worst neighborhoods in the country. More killings there than anywhere else. He looks at me and he calls me the dumbest motherfucker he's ever seen. I mean, he almost did kick my ass in that moment. He goes, aren't you afraid of AIDS? 1990, we didn't know what AIDS was. I'm not kidding. Like, Magic hadn't come out. He came out like 6 months after I found out about this. And he told me his sister had AIDS and she's dying. Now, back then, if you had AIDS, 3 years tops. 3 years tops. So here I am, freaking out. I go downstairs. I was allowed to shower all the time because I got headaches, and I boxed. So that was part of, like, whenever I wanted to shower, they gave me the privilege to shower. And I'm telling you guys, I sat there in the shower from like 9 o'clock in the night until like 7 o'clock in the morning, crying, scrubbing myself on the floor, praying, everything. The next few years of my life were miserable. Every time I heard of a symptom of HIV, I had it. That's how powerful the mind is. I remember the first symptom was sore throat, sore knees. I went a year of my life with a sore throat and sore knees. I'm not kidding. I cried myself to sleep every single night. Every single night of my life, praying. I had to stand in formation like this. And I developed like these OCDs that God's not going to hear my prayer if I'm wearing gloves. I was 14, 15 years old. I would take off my gloves in the middle of the formation and stand, fall down like this and start praying. I did it several times a day. Every time I did it, I had to march an hour with a rifle. I march every day. Every day. I called a doctor and said I needed to come and get tested. He said, okay. And I went and I got tested. Came back negative, but he told me, listen, you're not past your window period. I'm like, you asshole, why didn't you tell me that before I came in? I mean, seriously. And as I was like letting go of all of my jerking off and all of these behaviors that I was doing, I started to feel a power within me that I never knew was there. And my intuition grew really, really strong. I don't know if you guys are into people who see things and stuff like that. I'm not claiming to be that, but I was really tuned in. Really, really tuned in. Fast forward a couple years, went to college. Finally, after a couple years in college, all the girls thought I was gay. I'll tell you, if you ever want to like really get a lot of girls, don't sleep with them. They're gonna want you more. Like, they would all knock on my door because like I was the one guy that none of the girls can get. Finally, I was like, you know what, I gotta figure this out. If I'm gonna die, I need to know. And I faced it, and I went and got tested, it came back negative. You know what I thought to myself? Man, I just wasted the last 4 years. During the day, I was the head of a student group, a meditation group on campus. At night, I became a male dancer. Partying, drugs, coke, GHB, everything. Finally, I'm at this event in Miami, and I'm talking to this guy, and it turns out that this guy and I are having, like, you mentioned Yoda, like I felt like I was talking to Yoda. The guy was 55 years old, and we were talking about life, philosophy, business, everything. The coolest guy I ever met. The next day, I get a phone call from my boss saying, Mike, you're fired. I'm like, why? It was like the guy you were talking to. I'm like, what about him? He laughs and he hangs up on me. Literally within the next hour or so, I get a phone call from New York. Turned out that the guy that I was speaking with was the VP of Seagram's. And he had my boss fire me so he can offer me a job up in New York. Moved me up to New York. I'm making a couple $100,000. I'm 25 years old, right? This guy became my mentor. 22 years later, he's still my mentor. Pretty awesome. Still my mentor. Still kicks my ass. Seagram was the parent company to Universal Entertainment. Think of Universal Entertainment, Universal Studios, Universal Music, MCA Records, Polygram, Interscope, all of that. My mentor is the VP. I'm like, hey, I don't want to work in alcohol anymore. I want to get over to the music industry. So here I am in the music industry, and I'm balling out. But what I'm doing is I'm marketing music that has a negative message to kids. And I'm making a shitload of money, and I'm coming home every night high, or I'm not coming home at all. And the reason I'm getting high is because I can't live with the fact that I am kept alive to poison the minds of these kids. And I was hiding my pain. I was masking my pain. There was a challenge there, and I responded to it in a way that was hurtful instead of helpful. And then finally, I went to my mentor and I explained to him, I said, I can't do this. I'm having a tough time. He goes, you're not living with integrity. You're fired. He looked at me, he said, you're not living with integrity. You're fired. Just like that, you're fired. He goes, Mike, I don't worry about you. When you connect to your purpose, when you connect to your passion, when you connect to who you are, your authentic self, and you work hard, the wind will be at your back. Don't worry about that. Let's learn to be true to yourself first. Moved back to Miami. While I was in Miami, the first thing I did was I went to work at a halfway house teaching boxing to kids who were incarcerated. Loved it. Got hired there. Substance abuse therapist. Oh, by the way, I was getting high. A lot. So I was coming to work with cocaine in my body, teaching that it's wrong to do cocaine. Do you know how incongruent that feels? Can you imagine what that felt like? But I was only like 26 years old, so like I didn't really like tune into it. There was a lot of money in my pocket still. There were a lot of hot girls out there. I continued to get high. But in the process, I was learning that 98% of the kids who were locked up, the recidivism rate was 98%. They were going back to jail. And I wanted to do something about it. And during that time, I created my own charity for kids, studied all the best practices out there, and went 12 years of doing my program. And the one deal I made with God back then, when I thought I had AIDS, was one day I'll do something about that. And I created the very first HIV prevention program for kids in Miami, which happens to be the #1 place for HIV transmission in the country for teenagers. Created the first program of its kind with the Department of Health. Was brought on to Oprah, was traveling around with Alicia Keys, did some really amazing things. But during that time, guess what else I was doing? Getting high. The whole time. The whole time. And here's the turning point. I had a party at my house. It was up for 3 days. We were smoking crystal. We were doing GHB, doing coke. After everyone left, I had a line of cocaine on the table that I was going to use. Couldn't wait. I was going to do my thing. Everyone would leave, do the line, go to a chat room and jerk off to porn. Did that for 10 years straight, by the way. For days at a time. Almost every day. I had a script. I just copy and paste the script into each girl I spoke to, seduce her, jerk off while watching porn. Did it all the time. Literally, 10 years. I'm not kidding. 10 years. Well, I was waiting for that line of cocaine. And when they left, I went to go to it. And I had this pit bull, and he had a tail that went like this. And his tail knocked it off the table. You think that was my saving grace? Hell no. I'm up for days. You think I was freaking out at that moment. Anybody ever do cocaine? Anybody ever do a lot of cocaine? Does anybody know what it's like when you do a lot of cocaine and you think you have some, but all of a sudden it's gone? Who says, okay, no big deal? There ain't a damn person who says that. And that's not what I said. I got on the phone, I called my drug dealer, he didn't answer. He'd been up for a couple days too. I got in the car, I went down to Overtown, 20 minutes from Hollywood. That's where my house is. I know everyone in Overtown. This was before my best friend was murdered. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. You can get drugs in Overtown at 4 o'clock in the morning. But nobody was out that morning. It was crazy. It was like, no one was there. I had the opportunity to just turn around. You think I turned around? No. All of a sudden, this kid, I'd never seen him before, must have been 15 years old, flags me down. He was like, yo, what do you need? What do you need? I said, I want 4 DPs. These are 4 dime bags of cocaine. He's like, I got you, bro. And he starts like a conversation with me, and I'm standing outside of my car talking to him. I vibe with everyone, right? All of a sudden, he takes a gun, and he puts it to my head. His hand is going like this. His eyes are watering, and I'm just like this. I'm numb. I'm not feeling it. Like this. And he's either trying to pull the trigger, and it's stuck, or he's trying not to pull the trigger. But he was struggling. He was struggling. He took my watch, he took my wallet. I got back into the car, and I was the happiest man alive. But not because I was alive, because he didn't take back the cocaine he sold me. I know it sounds funny, right? I know it sounds funny. And I'm driving home, and what I would do, it's called choppers. They're called choppers. We're geeking a cigarette, where you pull out the end of the cigarette tobacco and you put the cocaine in and you smoke it. Well, by the time I went home, 20 minutes, right? I'd gone through 4 dime bags of cocaine. In 20 minutes, I smoked them and I snorted them. Now my adrenaline is like, man, I just had a fucking gun to my head. I'm fucking high on coke. Shit, I did all the coke. Guess what I did? I had no money. I went to my neighbor's house. I lied to him. I told him I needed money. Told him that I lost my wallet. I needed money. He gave me $100. I went back to the same spot where the kid put the gun to my head. That's how messed up I was. That's how controlled I was by this. He wasn't there. I bought $100 worth of cocaine. I'm driving home, and I'm listening. You guys know who DMX is? So I'm listening to DMX. Love DMX. And he's got this song where he's talking to God. And in that song, he's saying, God, I've trusted in you. I believed in you. Why are you allowing me to get to this place? Where are you? And then God goes, my child, I've watched you grow up and I've been there. And even at the times you least expected, I was there. And look at what I've given you, talents to rhyme. I may not come when you call, but I'm always on time. Should I let them in? Yes, yes. And then all of a sudden, DMX starts talking. He goes, I get it. There's something that you wanted me to see, so I can be who you wanted me to be. Those words changed my life. There's something that you wanted me to see, so I can be who you wanted me to be. When I looked in the mirror, I saw a fake, I saw a fraud, I saw a victim, I saw a coward, I saw all of this shit. And that line put it all in perspective. Right there. I skipped a part of the story that before I went home, I went to rabbinical school in Crown Heights, New York, to become a rabbi. Had a long beard, I had the payas, I had all of this, right? And there's a law in Judaism that you're not allowed to get a tattoo. And you're not allowed to break the Shabbos, which means you're not allowed to drive on the Sabbath. But the only way you're allowed to break the law is if you're saving a life. Right when I heard that song, the first thing I did was I got this tattoo right here. I broke the law to save my life. So every single time I would look in the mirror, I would see that I broke the law to save my life. And I would breathe into it, and I would use that as my grounding strength. And it carried me. It carried me. And then I went on a journey. I started to realize that there's more to life than I knew. And if there's something that he wanted me to see so I can be who he wanted me to be, what was it? And I had to get away from Miami. I had to get away. I went to Joshua Tree for a month. I did this program. It was a retreat. Kind of like we're here, I got away also. And during that time, I learned about myself. I learned about the divine plane, the spiritual plane, the physical plane. I learned that diseases, a lot of them are caused for not being tuned into who you are and living your truth. And the quality of your thinking affects the quality of your feeling. And if you hold that shit over a period of time, it doesn't go away. It manifests into anxiety. It manifests into disease. It manifests into depression. And that's what happened to me. I had created so much judgment about myself that I was killing myself. And I couldn't move forward. And I remember there was an experience that I had towards the end of my stay, and I was sick the majority of my time there. And I was sitting down with this girl and I was meditating. And as I'm meditating, I'm doing this breath work. She introduced me to this breath work. And afterwards, it was as if I was sitting in my body and the rest of my body just started levitating. And I saw myself in Africa working with kids. I saw myself in the Ukraine working with kids. I saw myself in South America working with kids. I saw myself traveling the world and making this big impact. And then all of a sudden, I sit back in my body. My eyes are still closed, but I'm looking down at myself with my eyes closed. I'm wearing a tank top, but I don't see a tank top. I see sleeves and I see black hands. And all of a sudden, in Martin Luther King's voice, I hear something say, "Sit up now." Everybody, sit up now. That's what I needed to hear. And I want you to use these words as what you get to hear right now. And I went through a journey of learning everything I could to heal myself, to save myself. But I realized that it wasn't for myself alone, it's so I can share it. And I know all you gentlemen and you young lady are all here to heal yourself, to save yourself, to grow yourself, to be a grounded man, to step into your king, to be that warrior. Yes, you are. So you can share it with others. So you can receive the joy and the passion and love of this experience. Yeah, your life is great. And so you can share it with others. And that's what it's all about. And this is what it's turned into me, for me. I'm dressed as Daisy Dukes right there. My wife is Roscoe Beat Train, and my daughter's Boss Hog. She don't look like him though, but this is my life right now. This is the success I'm having right now. This is the success I'm having right now. I get to be here with you gentlemen right now. I get to feel strong and grounded knowing that I have Andrew in my life and seeing the work that he's doing and the people he's interviewing and the lives that you're changing, and to you welcome me onto your stage. I don't take it lightly. I don't take it lightly at all. And Nate doesn't know this. Nate was the first person that I spoke to through Knowledge for Men. I researched Knowledge for Men. There's a lot of men's groups out there that I could have gone and worked with, but I spoke to Nate first. I watched you first. I studied you first. And that was the gate to him. And when I met him over the phone, I heard something in his voice that I believed in. And now I get to meet with him every week and learn from him every week. And some of the stuff that I do with you guys are stuff that I've learned from him. He's a man of integrity. He's a man of power. And Joseph and Joe, what an amazing team. And I'm grateful and I'm privileged to be here. But my track here was not easy. And your track is not easy, but it's yours. And there's so much for you to look forward to if you're willing to step up to the challenge. Who here is willing to step up to the challenge? My goal today is to give you a formula, to give you specific tools that you can use every day to develop your ability to respond to any freaking challenge. Because as you heard me say, they're not happening to you, they're happening for you. There are no coincidences or random incidents. It truly matters what you're going through, but you can either define the challenge or let it define you. What are you gonna do? You're gonna define the challenge. You're gonna make sense of it. Who's ready to eat? If you're ready to eat, raise your hand. If you're ready to eat, stand up. Notice your breathing. No, I didn't say change your breathing. You see how you did that? That's what we do. We bring in awareness and then we, you know why you did that? Because you went into a fear-based response. Do you think you get more oxygen in when you go? Not at all. You don't. What happens is when we're afraid, we tighten up. When we go like this, we're tightening up. Do you think our lungs are expanding or not? No, they're contracting. They're getting tighter. Everybody take a breath in, but do it in a way where you're gentle to yourself. Do it in a way where you can taste the sweetness of the air. Do it in the way where you can feel yourself growing. Breathe in deeply. And exhale softly. Inhale deeply. And exhale slowly. Now watch this. Inhale deeply. And hold the breath. Inhale a little further. Inhale a little further. Inhale a little further, further, further. Stop. A little further. And exhale. You created this limit for yourself where the first time I asked you to do it, you thought, oh shit, but then you realize you can go further and further and further, right? We're constantly breaking our own self-imposed limitations. That's what this is about. If there's a game, it's about mastering yourself to get past the self-imposed limitations that you've created for yourself. Mine was wondering whether or not I'm important. What's yours? Take a moment and think about it. And what does this mean to you? I put a lot of pimps out of business. Truly, truly. Because what I did to that girl up in Philadelphia when I was 14 years old, I still live with. And when I see girls in Miami working for pimps, I have a really tough time. And I have literally taken girls off the street and had them divorce their pimp even when they face losing their life. It was worth it because they didn't have it. Who's your pimp? Who masters your thoughts? Who masters your emotions? Who's in control of the way you're thinking, the way you're feeling? Who have you given your power to? Have you given it to your past? Is your past your pimp? Have you given it to your future? Is your future your pimp? Have you given it to this belief system that you've created about yourself, like you're not important, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough? Who is your pimp? Take a deep breath in. And exhale. And while we're on the topic, what's your view of the world? Do you see the world as a dog-eat-dog world? Raise your hand if it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's kill or be killed. Dog-eat-dog world, kill or be killed, right? Right. It's a dog-eat-dog world, right? Tell me why. One reason. Robert, tell me one reason.
If you don't fight, you don't survive.
Good. Another reason.
Human nature.
Human nature. Another.
If you ain't strong, you fucking lose.
Right. Tell me why it's a dog-eat-dog world. Give me another reason. Anyone. Shout it out. I don't care.
You don't
It's
eat,
you
you
or
get eaten.
them.
Say it again.
It's you or them.
It's you or them.
You don't eat, you get eaten.
You don't eat, you don't get eaten.
Limited resources.
What's that? Limited resources. Okay. What if the world was conspiring on your behalf? What if the universe was plotting for you every single second of the day and you've just closed yourself off to it? What would that feel like? What would that feel like? Anyone? Abundant. Empowering. I got a question for you. Has any single one of you walked in this room and looked up at this ceiling and said, oh shit, I think it's gonna fall? Has anyone looked at the lights in this room and said, oh fuck, I better be careful, they may electrocute me? Has any of you looked at the clothes you're wearing and saying, oh my God, they may be toxic? None of us. We take all of these beautiful things that demonstrate that the universe is conspiring on our behalf for granted. And we focus on the negative. Now, imagine a day in the life of a person who sees the world as a dog-eat-dog world out to get them versus a person who sees the world that's conspiring on their behalf. What's the difference between the two? Feel the difference in your body. Which one feels heavy? Say it out loud. Feels heavy. Which one feels light? Do you know physiologically you can tell your state, you can tell where your mind is by two things. By your breathing and by whether or not you feel heavy or light. Shake your legs out, please. Your mind sends electricity throughout your body. The quality of your thinking affects the quality of your feeling. Your mind is the catalyst, what's called energy in motion, emotion. Moves through your body and your mind says the singles. When a quarterback is out there and he's, oh no, right? He tenses up because the world is out to get them. But if he's like, oh yeah, he loosens up. The first thing you can look at is his breathing. You will see his breathing is long and deep. And just as your psychological and emotional state affect your breathing can affect and does affect your psychological and emotional state. You guys know Wim Hof, right? Yeah. Or Dan Brule? Yeah. How is the Iceman able to climb that mountain? Everybody take your tongue and go like this. Okay, and breathe in. Do it again. Breathe in. Is that hot or cold air? Cold. If you do that for 3 minutes, you're gonna lower your body temperature. Did you realize that? You can actually regulate, you can increase your body temperature through your breathing, and you can lower your body temperature through your breathing. Joe was talking yesterday about breath and heart rate. You can go like this. Go ahead. You know why dogs don't live that long? No, I'm not kidding though. I'm not kidding. Now take slow, deep breaths. You can affect your heart rate through your breathing. And again, just as your psychological and emotional state affects your breathing will affect your psychological and emotional state. Half of you are holding your breath right now. Raise your hand if you're holding your breath. Right? We do that. You ever see a baby, the way they breathe? They inhale, belly out, exhale, belly in. When did we forget to do that? Our sympathetic nervous system kicks in, fight or flight happens, and all of a sudden it affects the way we're breathing. That is what happens. And over a period of life, we've developed these belief systems, and these belief systems have affected the way we breathe. We pause, we hold, we tense up, we suffer. And we have the power to change that. What time is it?
Now.
Isn't that fucking awesome how powerful we are?
Yeah.
Isn't it fucking awesome how amazing this universe is? When you look around this room, you see the person next to you? Do you know why they're here? You think they're here for themselves? They are. But they're also here to remind you. If you don't have a community that reminds you, guess what? You're lost. Who here's lost? It's not who you are that holds you back. You just forgot. It's who you think you are not. Brother, you are not lost. In fact, I'll tell you something about being lost. The worst thing you can do is be lost and not know it. The best thing you can be is lost and say, I'm lost. Because the second you realize you're lost, you got your power. You still lost? That's right. Because you're the author of your life. And what time is it? Now. And you get to write the next chapter of your life and the rest of your life however you want it to be. But you could leave it to chance, or you can make it a choice. Challenge plus response equals outcome. Everybody sit down for a sec. I keep going on in my mind where I'm going to do this. Do we go sit over there? Do we move? Do we not? But I think we can do it. Right. I know we can do it right where we are. I'm going to take you guys through a breathing sequence, okay? And what's going to happen while you're going through this breathing sequence is your breath is going to activate energy. That energy is going to activate a thought. The part of your mind that balances your checkbook is going to try to suppress that emotion. Do you see that boy in that picture? That boy, the day that happened to that boy, he built a wall around himself. He built that fucking wall around himself to protect himself. Because he expressed himself and his own parents didn't listen. His own parents didn't come to his aid. His own friends, his own family, the world told him it's not safe to be who you are. And he built that wall. And with that wall came this little mechanism right here that's designed to keep him within it, to keep him safe. As we're breathing, you're going to hear this mechanism, It's going to tell you you're uncomfortable. It's going to tell you this is wrong. It's going to tell you that, why am I doing this? It's going to tell you a whole bunch of shit. And if it doesn't tell you anything, I'm going to watch half of you moving like this. I'm going to see you struggling. I'm going to see you twitching. I'm going to see you doing all of this stuff. Why? Because you're not allowing yourself to process. And when I see that, I'm just going to ask you to shift breathing and give yourself permission. That voice that boy created, that boy within you, that young girl within you, that voice that was created that day is what I call the challenger or the chump. And what it's designed to do is to keep you in that box, behind that wall. Why? Andrew said it. Is it there to hurt you? It tells you you're not smart enough. It tells you you're not good enough. You're not attractive enough. You're too old. You're too young. It tells you all of those things. And it's been with you your entire life. It's the Charles Barkley. It's the challenger. It's the chump, whatever the hell you want to call it. Who cares? It's your ego, whatever you want to call it. It's not there to hurt you. It just doesn't help you. It limits you. And then that other voice is the champ, the warrior. And it can take on any challenge, no matter how big or small it is. And that's who you are. So as we're doing this breathing, you're going to feel the chump trying to suppress, and I'm asking you to call upon your champ. If you're down to do that, say yeah. Yeah. If you're down to do that, say yeah. Yeah. If you're down to do that, say yeah. Yeah. Yes! Yes! Repeat after me. I'm ready, you ready? 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 Here we go. Your mouth goes like this. It's an ooh sound, and it's a double breath in. It goes, and then it's an ah exhale. It's similar to the breath, if any of you guys have done Wim Hof, but it's different because it's directing the energy in slightly different, and we're going to manipulate the energy as we go. FYI, a breath is not a breath is not a breath, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Ready? It's this. It's circular. It doesn't stop. Close your eyes. You're going to notice that you become a little lightheaded. You might feel tingly. I want you to remember you're in control. You can stop at any time, slow yourself down at any time. Do not force this. If you get to a certain level where it's too much, slow down. Force comes from fear. Allowing comes from certainty. Allowing comes from a space of love. That child within you has been forced to shut up his whole fucking life. Don't force him to do that now. Give him permission to express himself. Give him permission to open up. Give him permission to be. Allow it. Allow it. Allow it. Now shift your breathing to good. Back to the single breath. Join me. Take a deep breath in and hold it and gently exhale. And just sit there for a moment and feel that energy. 70% of your metabolic waste, 70% of your metabolic waste is released through your breathing. You eat food for nourishment, you go to the bathroom to get rid of toxins. That's only 20%. 70% is affected and released through your metabolic waste is released through your breathing. When you are stressed out, when you are anxious, when you are nervous, you're holding in the good stuff and You're holding in the bad stuff and you're not allowing in the good stuff. What you've just done right now is you have given yourself permission to release those toxins that have been built within you. When you're nervous and those butterflies go to your belly button, you think they just leave when the event is over? Fuck no. They stay there. The cortisol stays there. The limiting belief stays there. All of that sits there and it wraps around your waist. Look at mine. I'm still getting rid of that shit. Dan, where are you? Now breathe. Take a deep breath in and hold it and smile and gently exhale and sit back in your seat and chill. Chill. Give yourself permission to take off right now. Everybody thinks you need to be all amped up all the time. The recuperation period is more important than the activation period. If you don't fill your cup up, you'll have nothing to drink. You must fill your cup up. You must take time off. You must give yourself time to breathe. Now take your hands and put them on your neck and softly massage your neck. That child within you has been yearning to express themselves your whole life. He doesn't respond to the criticism. He doesn't respond to the judgment. He doesn't respond to getting beat up and yelled at and thrown around and pushed and pulled in every direction. He responds to love. He responds to encouragement. He responds to self-care. Take your hands and softly massage your jaw. Notice if there's tightness in there. Soften your tongue. Take your hands and go to your nose, your sinuses, your eyes, to your temples, to the back of your head. Direct your breath to where your hands are. Remember to breathe. You've trained yourself not to breathe. We're reprogramming ourselves to breathe. Continue to massage. Bring in air. Sigh of relief, exhale. I want to hear that sigh of relief. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Take your hand and bring them to your chest and start to tap the center breastbone. We store a lot of pain around relationships there. This is the heart chakra. There's love here. There's truth here. We close that off. Open that up by tapping on it and call upon breath into it. Breathe into your heart. Breathe it in and exhale it out. All those times you've blocked love, all those times you've blocked your blessings, all those times you've blocked your opportunities, you've gotten away because you were fearful, you were distrustful. Yes, you were right. It is a tough world, but it doesn't make sense for you to see it that way. It doesn't even serve you. And if you look for it that way, you'll find it that way. But the reality of it is, it's also a world that's completely conspiring on your behalf. Open yourself up to receive it. Now take your hand to your solar plexus and gently massage your solar plexus. This is the third chakra. This is your fire. This is your willpower. It gets burnt out when all you do is run around and do everything and don't rest. But it also gets burned out when you don't fan that passion, when you don't fan your purpose, when you don't live in alignment with your truth. We start to lose that fire. We become weak. We become soft. We become who we're not. Gently breathe in, massaging your solar plexus. Now go down to your belly. This is your second chakra. My forte is teaching people how you enter flow state, how you get into the zone. When you're fearful, there's reasons that butterflies go to your stomach. It's the second chakra. It's the creative chakra. It corresponds to the element of water. You put water in a cup, it becomes the cup, so forth and so on. It adapts. It's always in flow. What blocks flow? Fear, doubt, and judgment. Oh shit versus oh yeah. Oh shit. Butterflies in the stomach. Oh yeah, we open up. Breathe into your belly. Feel that water. And if you're holding a lot of fear there, as you inhale, push your belly out as hard as you can like you're pregnant. Push it out. Feel the cobwebs breaking up. Those are the patterns that you've stored in there. Inhale and push it out further and further and further. Push past your boundaries. Push past your limits. They're all self-imposed. They're all illusion. Breathe into that area. Take your hands and now rub them behind your back, your kidney area. Breathe into your kidneys. Love your kidneys. Remember that little boy inside of you is meant to be free. Love him. Guide him. Give him permission to smile. Give him permission to be who he is. Give him permission to shine. Part of the issue that we're experiencing is we're all forcing this shit. And because you're forcing it, you're in a space of judgment all the time. When you force yourself to go to sleep, you don't fall asleep. You stay up. When you give yourself permission to fall asleep, is when you fall asleep. When you force water on that plant because you want it to grow, it doesn't grow, it drowns. Give it a little water and step back. Allow yourself to shine. Say that to yourself. I allow myself to shine. I allow myself to shine. I allow myself to shine. I don't force that shit. Open your eyes. You ever see a quarterback force the ball in? What happens? All the time. You ever see a fighter try to force the punch, how tense he is? He's slower. Force comes from fear. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission. So let's get to know your challenger. Let's get to know your chump. Like I said yesterday, this is who you don't want to be, right? I do work with YPO. You guys know what YPO is? Young Presidents Organization. These are guys whose companies are bringing in over $180 million a year. And they come to my workshops. I do them specifically for them. And I'll sit around sometimes and I'll listen to them talk, and they're bragging and they're all this and that, and I lay them on the floor, head against the wall, and I let them know you wouldn't be here right now if you thought you had it made. If the money did it for you, you wouldn't be here. Nate said that yesterday. He asked somebody, why is you here? You're here because you want to grow. And we limit ourselves in so many ways. We settle in so many ways. But the greatest way we settle is because we want to be that warrior. We want to be that champ. And we pretend we're not the chump. We pretend we're not the challenger. And guess what? When you do that, you only have half of your power. But it's getting drained all the time by the other source of power. Your challenger, your chump, is not your enemy, guys. He is your guide. Call him your enemy, you'll resist him. Hate him, and he gets louder. I wish I wasn't this. Let me pretend I'm not. And every time you look in the mirror, that's what you see. It doesn't go away by resisting it. Who here has tried to resist this? Who's tried to resist that and want it to be real hard all the time? No, that's not the way it works. Remember, he's here to put you in the box, to protect you, but he's also here to guide you. But let's get clear, though. We don't want to be in this space. We just don't want to resist it. We want to befriend it So when it shows up, we can use it towards our desired outcome. Am I really clear with that? Any questions on that real quick? Because I don't want to miss that point. It is imperative.
Say it again.
Yeah. We don't want to resist that negative voice inside of our head. We want to befriend it. Go ahead.
What do you say when those thoughts come up? How do you respond?
Give me an example of those thoughts.
I tell myself I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not ready enough to do this.
You have a bracelet?
No.
Anybody have a rubber band? Okay. Can you give him your rubber band? Andrew said this over and over again, right? You go to the gym because the resistance is what builds the muscle, right? We're talking mental strength now, right? That's a muscle, right? Okay. So when you have that thought, I'm not good enough, right? What is it really telling you you want? Listen carefully. If that fear that I'm having or that thought I'm having is around my health, what is it that I really want? To be healthy. When that fear is I'm not good enough, what is it that it really wants? Good. Now we've got an idea of what our bullseye is. Right? Now, what's your criteria for being good enough? What does it mean to be good enough?
Be confident in my ability to go for my goal.
All right. Right now, put two things down that fit your criteria for good enough. I'm what and what? And now when you hear that voice of I'm not good enough, challenge plus response equals outcome. That's the challenge, right? There's internal challenges and then there's external challenges. Internal challenges are the self-talk. But how you respond to the self-talk is what's going to determine the outcome, right? What's the outcome that you want?
The outcome?
Hmm?
The outcome is I want to be good enough, I want to be confident to attain my goal.
So you know why it's showing up now, right? Because it's telling you what's important, right? So here's what we do. The second you hear that negative voice in your mind, smile. Why are you smiling? Because you caught it. You're in control. Take that bracelet and snap it. You're not going to go down that cycle, are you? Now put it on your other hand. Now what is it that you want?
I want to be good enough.
Well, what are two things you could do this very moment to earn that belief in yourself that you're good enough?
Smile and snap the bracelet.
Okay, that's good. You're making a move right there. Okay, but the criteria that you wrote down, what is it?
Capable of opening my business and educated enough to teach.
Do you have a coach?
No, I don't.
Yet.
Yeah.
Good. Right? Because you want to open a business. Do you know what it takes to open a business?
No.
Do you need to find out what it takes to open a business? That's right. So what are two things you can do right now? Not the second, but yeah, this second. One, write down that you're going to research what it takes to open a business, right? And two, get clear of what kind of business you have. Now what you've done is you have transformed a negative belief system into an action. You have mastered your mind. And sometimes that voice is so freaking loud, that just means you got a little more heavy weight. You ready? Right? We love the challenge. Challenge plus response equals outcome. Now, you think that's going to solve your problem? No, not one time. But if you do it every time, that you notice that you're in that space and you shift that, right? Now you're developing the repetitions and the behaviors that are necessary to be able to see it in a different context. Do you see how it's your friend? All it did was point it out to you what's important. He is here to show you what's important. Any other questions around that? Come on, give me one because I really, really want to make sure that this lands.
Sometimes my voice, I'm sorry, my voice is out. I feel like a fraud.
You feel like a fraud.
Yeah, like, look at all these guys are all fucking awesome. And my inner voice is like, I'm not half as good as any of these men.
So that voice is showing up for you, right? Because what's really important to you? Not to feel like a fraud, but to feel like what? Well, let him answer.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, of course it is. They're your brothers.
Thanks. Yeah, I feel genuinely real and how do I word this? Not feel like this doubt is inside of me, and that there's a part of me that goes, I don't know what this, science kind of can word this mentally and vocally.
Well, let's just say you want to feel real. Okay? You don't want to feel like a fraud, you want to feel real. What does it mean to be real? Yeah, like what's the criteria? Some of us, we want this, but we really haven't even set what it means. Like, I want to be great. Well, that's fucking vague, right? If you work with a coach, you're definitely going to be getting some SMART goals. Specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. Is real specific? Is it measurable? Make it specific. Make it measurable. So give me 2 characteristics of real.
2 characteristics of real, authentic. Thank you, man. Authentic and
Thanks, Nate.
and honest.
Authentic and honest. Good. Now, that chump has showed up in your life to point out something that's important to you. You want to feel real, right? Snap out of it. Put it on the other wrist. Get clear of what real is to you. Do you see it in your mind? Authentic and honest. I got a question for you. What's one thing you can do right now that's authentic and honest?
I felt right now telling you my doubt felt very real, felt very honest.
You're doing it. It's not who you are that holds you back. You just forgot. It's who you think you are not. What time is it? Now. You know? We can spend our time dancing in that place where we used to be and define ourselves that way, but we know where that gets us. You have the ability right now, brother. Elgin, is that your name?
You're right.
Yeah. I know who you are. We haven't even met. You're a real motherfucker. I only know real motherfuckers, that's for sure. If I don't know you, ain't real. No, I'm kidding. Okay. But here's some characteristics of the chump that we really want to get clear on, okay? And Andrew's talked about him. I'm just going to put him in the same context. He blames, he shames, there's guilt, he complains, he's a victim, the world is happening to him. Now think of a challenge. Think of a challenge that you've been going through. Have you been the chump or have you been the champ? In other words, if you've been the champ, you've been taking personal accountability for exactly what's going on. That means owning that you're in this moment because you got yourself there. Oh shit. That's where the shit hits the fan, right? Who the hell wants to take accountability for something that ain't their fault? Would you rather be right or would you rather be effective? Andrew, Nate, Joe, Joseph have all talked about this idea that we're here to grow. We are to grow. And if that is your mantra, you're going to look at each situation like an opportunity for you to grow, right? What's up, Pete? So let's say somebody walks up to me and I don't know them, and they just slap me across the face. I didn't see it. They just like knocked me across the head. That's the challenge. My response is going to determine the outcome. But what am I basing my response on? The outcome I want. Do I want to go to jail? Do I want to grow? Right. So how the hell do I take a personal accountability for some guy I don't even know that just slaps me across the head? Give me one answer how I can do it. Oh, come on. He's right. Nobody heard. Give me one way I can take accountability, because there's many, for somebody slapping me in the head. I don't even know him. How am I accountable for that? What do you say? He didn't do it on purpose. He just slapped the shit out of me. It wasn't on purpose. I'm cool. I learned from that. How did I learn from that?
You ask.
Mm-mm.
You,
Okay.
You can say to yourself that, he didn't mean to do it.
No, I'm saying, listen, I'm talking dude walked up to me and went, pow. It's different, Mikhail. Like, I'm saying intentionally, he walked up to me and slapped me in the head. How do I take accountability for that?
Ask him what's wrong.
I can ask him what's wrong. I can learn from that, right? What else can I do?
it's an opportunity to practice self-control.
It's an opportunity to practice self-control. Here's how I can take all, yes, go ahead.
It's an opportunity to just become aware of your anger instead of let it take control of you.
There's a lot of things I can do, right? The one that comes to my mind is the one that says, when I was walking and he came up to hit me, how present was I in the moment? Was I on my phone? On a scale of 1 through 10, what was my situational awareness? Was I at a 10? Probably not. So what can I do in that moment to be able to be more aware of what's going on in my surroundings? What I'm saying is, in every single challenge that you're going through, there is an opportunity for you to grow. You're either going to resist it or you're going to own it. That's the fucking bottom line. But where does resisting it take you? There is not a single scenario. I'll give somebody $1,000 right now if you could tell me one scenario where it pays to be the chump. Give me one.
TV.
Huh?
Reality TV.
That doesn't count. Seriously, where does it pay in your life for you to be a chump? It really doesn't. It doesn't get you the girl. It doesn't get you the job. It doesn't get you the money. It doesn't get you the relationship. It doesn't give you the self-esteem. It doesn't give you anything to be the chump. Even if you're right, it's not effective. Guys, get that. It's not fucking effective. My dad's sister died, and they went years without talking. He was right. He was right about it. Never talked to her again. Too late. Regrets it. Don't let that happen to you. Don't let being right prevent you from being effective. Where are your thoughts? Just what I'm really asking you to do is just have an awareness of your thoughts. Not to judge them good or bad or right or wrong. Simply have an awareness. What were you just thinking of? That's all. The warrior. You guys know that it factor? You ever see a guy walk into, hey, turn around. You ever see a guy walk into the room and he just feels that? He's got that it factor. No, seriously though. Do you know that it factor? It's like the world is like on his side. He's like okay in the face of a challenge, like the challenge is there and he's like this. You ever see that? That it factor, IT, intentional thinking. IT, the it factor is all about intentional thinking. So the champ, the warrior, is intentional with their thinking. What's the mission? What's the outcome I'm looking for? That little boy inside who's been put behind that wall, who the chump keeps behind that wall, the champ encourages him. That self-talk that you're having, you got this, versus like you can't do this, that's the champ. And every single day, it's a battle for you to get above that challenge. Now, we know what below the challenge mindset's all about. You blame, you shame, you point fingers, you resist, you're defensive. That's below the challenge. You know that above the challenge is all about taking complete accountability. It's about mission first. It's about thinking on purpose. It's about activating that warrior inside of you, knowing that there is no challenge that he can't overcome. None. But we're not wired to do that, sorry. We're just not. We're not. When you were younger, you breathed, your belly went out. When stress happened, your belly went like this. Everybody take a deep breath in. Does your belly go out on the inhale? Or does it go in? Most people, your belly goes in. You're pulling. You're not expanding. Why? Because that's what happens to our sympathetic nervous system when we reach flight or flight. But the good news is we can rewire ourselves. But not by chance. It's a consistent choice. So mastery is rewiring yourself in the face of a challenge, no matter what. No matter what. Somebody tell me an outcome that they want, a goal that they want. Anyone?
Become a commercial real estate agent.
Okay. Is there a challenge? Is there a challenge?
Meeting and connecting with the right people.
You just want to be a commercial real estate agent?
I want to become the best version of myself.
What does that mean?
That means spending time with my family. It means helping other people become the best versions of themselves and learning as much as I can so I can share it with others, and acquiring abundance financially so that I can share that with others.
Beautiful. What's your challenge?
My challenge would be one, socially, I'm not the best. I can tend to be socially awkward, so I put myself in uncomfortable.
In the past, I used to be socially awkward.
Yes.
Now, I enjoy meeting people and expressing myself. Say it. In the past, I used to be socially awkward. Now, I enjoy fully expressing myself and meeting people.
Now I fully enjoy expressing myself and meeting new people.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
Stop it. You do not. What needs to happen in order for that to be a true statement?
I have to live it.
What does that look like? Give me 3 specific things that you can do for that to be a true statement.
I can go to more events, talk to more people, seek out a mentor.
Those are good. By when?
Sorry?
By when?
In the next week.
Good. Is that going to start to make you feel that way? Is there anything else specific that you can do to feel more confident and open in a social scenario? Anything?
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters, by when?
Next month.
So, this tennis player I work with, let me tell you this story. This tennis player I work with, he comes to me after practice. Guy's top 70 in the world. That's good, right? That's like Pro Bowl level in the NFL. And he's getting higher. And he looks at me and he was like, yo, Mike, my serve sucks. And I said to him, your serve sucks? He goes, yeah. I said, why does your serve suck? He goes, man, it just does. I said, no, tell me why it sucks. And he goes, well, my grip is off, my core strength is not there, and my mind is all over the place when I go to serve. And I said, dude, you know why your serve sucks? He goes, no. I said, because you said it sucks, and those are the 3 things that you're using to prove that to be true. Now repeat after me. In the past, my serve sucked. And he goes, in the past, my serve sucked. But now it's becoming my greatest weapon. But now it's becoming my greatest weapon. And I asked him the same question I asked you. I said, do you believe it? And he goes, no. And I said, what needs to happen in order for that to be a true statement? He goes, I need to work on my mental strength, work on my grip, and work on my core. Well, he drew out the plan. I said, I want you to do that for 2 weeks. Well, first of all, I asked him why he wanted that, because I needed to know what his motivation was, if that was even important to him. So I want to know why you want to be free in social environments. Why do you want that?
Because it will help me form deeper connections.
You want that?
And yes.
Good, why?
Because I think having connections is a crucial component of being happy.
Good, and you want that?
Yes.
So you're willing to do the work over the next 2 weeks?
Yes.
So is he. Came into my office 2 weeks later, he looked at me and goes, Mike, in the past my serve sucked, now it's becoming my greatest weapon. And I said, do you believe it? He goes, fuck yeah. We put so much energy into what we don't want, right? And we define ourselves by that. And all we need to do is get clear of what we do and focus on the very specific things that get us there. So real quick before I finish, most people see challenges. It is what it is. Most people say they're not ready. Who's ready? I'm ready. You ready? I'm ready. You ready? Some people think they're too old. They think that challenges just go away. They don't. But this is what I want you to have. These are 7 steps to overcome any challenge that's in your way. Step 1. In the face of a challenge, you pause. Do you know why you pause? Because you're taking yourself out of autopilot when you pause. You're telling yourself you have power in this situation. It is your reminder that you are a powerful person. It's a step back, it's a pause. Step 2, identify your desired outcome. What is it that you want out of this situation? What is it that you want? Step 3, ID your current location. Are you being below the challenge? Are you making excuses? Are you blaming? Are you saying, why me? Are you in a fixed mindset that this is just the way it is? And if you are, own it, because the second you own it, you jump above the challenge. You start to feel that shift. The next step, 3 deep breaths. Breathing shifts your physiology. It changes your mindset. It gives you your power back. Next step, just like Joe showed you yesterday, you do that work to activate that warrior. You step into your power, you shift your physiology. You remember all this amazing stuff that we're talking about. Fearless is a lie. Yeah, fearless is a lie. It's okay to be fearful. It's how you respond to it that matters. So be brave in that moment. And when it's all done, reflect and grow. This form and this right here, you just skip ahead. And having an awareness of things that are within your control and things that aren't in your control are essential. The weather's not in your control. The way people think about you is not within your control. Any of those things outside of your control are just called weather. Not going to be able to change it. But you can change how you respond to it. And challenge plus response equal outcome, that formula is everything. If you don't do this, where does it get you? Nowhere. But the choice is the pace at which you do this. Pace, personal accountability for creating excellence. You can move at a strong pace or a weak pace. A weak pace is you're blaming, you're procrastinating, you're making excuses. You move at a strong pace, you're owning it all. You're getting support. You're taking risks. You're making that jump. What I suggest you do is you put this C plus R equals O formula in 5 places, including your home screen on your phone. Don't leave it to chance. Make it a consistent choice. Put it on your bathroom mirror. Put it on your bed. Put it on your desk. If you're with someone, put it with her. Have her remind you. Yeah, it's going to suck, right? But it's for you. And then put the formula next to it on whether or not you're being below the challenge or above the challenge. Whenever something's going on and I feel heavy or I feel weak, I look at that right here, my GPS, and I immediately recognize that I'm feeling that way because I'm below the challenge. I get my power back by being above the challenge.
Where can we get that image?
I think we can get the images to him.
This is all going to be on the Awakening membership site.
For free. These are the 2 pages, guys. This and this. That's it. I mean, Chump and Champ are great, but this really breaks it down right there. But put it everywhere and use it as your guide. And every single time that you feel a challenge and you follow these steps, you're building that mindset. You're building that mental strength. You are training yourself to respond above the challenge. We talked about this yesterday. I'm not going to go into it. I'd also print this one up. If you find that you're down here, I can't do this, I need to do this, I should do this, you're giving away your power. I want to do this, you're giving away your power. I get to do this, you're starting to connect. I am doing this, now you're in action. Ask me what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
I'm touching my head. I was in the process, I was in the ing of it, right? So I'm not lying. I don't feel like I'm lying. I feel I'm being authentic and saying I'm touching my head. Ask me what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
I love that I'm touching my head. There's a whole different energy when you get to that space. I love that I'm doing it. And as long as you say I'm love that I'm doing it, starting right now, I don't care what your goal is, you're telling the truth because you're here. You're doing it. Start saying that you love doing it because you are doing it. Guys, thank you so much.